Here. Hello everybody, and happy Saturday to you, and happy Sunday to you if you're on the other side of the planet. Turn down this light here and balance it out, and I think I got everything set to go. I'm actually on time now that I have my new starting soon screen. And I'm ready to go. And we got someone waiting to be here. So I don't know where I should start. I should wait for more people to get here. I don't know. I'll say hi to a few people. Minnie Rapunzel, hello. Christopher, hello. Tanya, hello. Andre, hello. Cindy Lolly, hello. Bev, hello. Pam, hi. Jim, hi. Rebel Society, hello. Colleen from New Hampshire, hello. And I think that's pretty much everybody. And I have my new setup now where right here I see my chat, which is so cool that I don't have to go this way. See my chat and what's going on. I just look right there, which makes everything so much nicer for me. And all right, well, we got C.A. Knuble waiting for us, so let's bring this person in and see what's going on. Let me put this up, and I just have to make sure that I don't do what I did last week when I accidentally hit stop on the live stream. Sometimes I get a little bit confused with too many windows open.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'll be turning on my video in 1 second. I'm getting my light ready.
All right. Hello, and what is your name and where are you zooming from?
I'm coming from Philadelphia, PA, and my name is Christy or C.A. Knuble.
Uh-oh. I lost you. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'm turning on my light. 1 second.
Oh, what happened?
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. So you're in Philly. Did you say your name was Christy?
Yep, I go by Christy or C.A. Knuble.
Christy and C.A. Now, have you written to me personally?
I wrote a comment. Hello.
Give me 1 second. I think I'm now. All right, so you've left a comment before. Some people message me and say, "Hey, I'm going to come on tonight," or when they should come on. And so I talk to different people. So I only see screen names. I don't get first and last names, especially on YouTube. So I don't know who I'm talking to. But Christy, welcome and thank you for joining us. And what is on your T-shirt?
Thank you. It's Pickle Rick. Rick and Morty.
Oh, Rick and Morty. Okay, cool. My kids.
Yeah, I was cleaning, so that's why I'm like all sweaty and.
Oh, that's okay. I used to watch cartoons with Cartoon Channel with my kids, but my favorite show out of all those shows was Regular Show. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I've seen it, yeah.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I liked Chowder, if you remember that one.
Which one?
Chowder.
Chowder. I didn't see that one.
That was a good one.
I was following my kids, so maybe when that was on, they were
Can you
into.
hear me okay?
Maybe at that time they were into SpongeBob.
Bear with me 1 second.
No problem. We're all getting started. People are getting here, so it's okay. We're waiting. It's kind of
Can
good.
you hear me okay now?
Yes. So you're
I can't
Christy?
hear you.
You can't hear
Your
me?
audio went on me.
Check, 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 check. Mic check.
I think I got it.
Got me?
I got you. Sorry.
That's all right. So you're Christy from Philly. And what do you have to share with us this evening?
What? I have a lot to share, actually. I was hoping to, at some point, do a near-death experience talk with you.
Oh, wow.
I've had one, too.
You've had an NDE?
Yeah, I'm actually a violent crime survivor, so.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, I mean, should we wait and have you do a personal one with me, and then we can talk about something else this evening? Or would you like to start with, or you just want to go for it on your NDE? Either ways. Well, maybe if your NDE is longer, I was going to say, if your NDE is longer, maybe we should schedule you for like a full 1 hour deal, and we can talk about whatever else you got going on.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Now, in the
well, I have a lot going on.
Okay. I was going to say, in the description below is my email address. So I need you to email me so we can schedule you.
Sure.
And for some reason, your video feed is a little laggy, but that's okay for tonight. Uh-oh. Where did you go? Where did she go? Did we lose her? Oh, no. There she is. It
kicked me out because it wasn't on my Wi-Fi. Sorry about that. That's why I was laggy.
Oh, okay. Now you're much better. All right. So what would you like to talk about besides your NDE?
Well, I mean, I have a lot of things. I'm a comedian. I'm a podcast host.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I wear many hats. I'm an author. So
can you make jokes about NDEs since you're a comedian, or is that something we shouldn't be joking about?
Well, one joke I do say, because I also, and this is kind of insensitive, so trigger warning in advance, because I made an attempt this year. And although that's not something you really joke about, I say that's the one thing me and my attempted murderer have in common is we both can't kill somebody. So
wow.
You got to make humor out of it sometimes, you know?
Yeah, sometimes you do. You just kind of, it's so interesting that you say that, because really, and I try to do that more, and it all makes more sense that more and more people, lately the theme is that we all have to have more joy in our life. And obviously, the more joyful you are, you're going to raise your vibration and your energy.
Absolutely. I always say that once you see the darkest parts of human nature, you only see the brightest from there. So... Yeah. And you see things differently, so.
So, all right, I'm trying to think about what kind of paranormal experiences did you have before your NDE?
So I always kind of felt things. I never really saw. The only time I saw something was one time in my house when I was in high school. I had fallen asleep on the couch, and we had kind of a bay window there. And when I was asleep, there's a rocking chair across from there, and that used to rock every night at the same time in the middle of the night, which I always thought was strange, but it was kind of one of those clamp your eyes shut and don't think about it type of things. So I always stayed out of that living room, but this day I happened to fall asleep on the couch to take a nap, and I kind of felt like a weird feeling in my stomach, in my abdomen, like really constricting. And I woke up and I look, and there's like something in between, like standing inside of me, looking out the window. And it was one of those, like, I don't know what to do. So I just like shut my eyes and pretended it didn't happen. But it was absolutely, like, I was wide awake. It was crystal clear, and it was terrifying, honestly.
Are you saying it was an entity or something?
It definitely was. Yeah. It was like, you could see kind of like outlines of a body, but no like particular face. Like I could tell the person was wearing a jacket and pants, but not much else. So
that's interesting.
I
don't think I've even posted it yet. I think the video that I'm gonna post tomorrow, a woman got back from her NDE and she still had an entity attached to her.
Wow.
Yeah, because during her NDE, she saw something kind of strange with her body when she was outside of her body, and then she got back and she still had the entity, and then they finally got the entity out of her. And I think that's I guess hey, you know, anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, like for me with my NDE, I won't get into the details, but the after, I kind of followed a light, but it looked like my mother.
Mm-hmm.
So in my head, I'm like, my mother is guiding me, to where I need to go. But this year, after I made my attempt, I went to the hospital, like a mental hospital. And it was the first time I didn't have like any distraction. And I had to like deal with the memories.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a completely out of body experience because I was triggering for 30 hours straight.
Hmm.
I couldn't tell where I was. I was smelling things that weren't there, seeing things that weren't there. And I watched the entire like trauma story event unfold in front of me. So looking back at it now, I think it was me that went back and guided myself out. And we'll get more into detail on that, but that's the only like out of body experience I've ever had.
Now that's part of your NDE, or that's separate that happened afterwards?
That happened during.
Okay.
Yeah. It's interesting, right?
Yeah. Well, gosh, I'm trying to think about what can we talk about since we're going to wait on your NDE. What are we going to talk about? So how long? It sounds like this is all recent.
Well, actually me going back and actually dealing with it, I kind of didn't tell anybody. And that was 10 years ago. Plus, I was 18, I'm 31 now. I didn't tell anybody what happened. I just kind of like went about my life in a very, very bad decision.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until this year that I unlocked recessed memories,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of painted the entire picture for me.
Mm.
So
that happens sometimes, and
mm-hmm.
Again, I have so many that I do, and I don't know if it was the one that I haven't posted yet or one. I think it was the one that I posted 2 or 3 days ago that she was saying. I think it was the woman. What was her name? The girl that was in the military. I don't know if you saw that one, but her body was so badly damaged that she said years later, she was getting body work, and once her body healed, it was kind of then it seemed like she was able to kind of. Those memories were released, and then it all just came back to her in like one huge download, like 20 years later.
Yep. That's exactly how it happened to me. But for me, it was like I kind of got some of them back when I had that moment in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until I really sat and I did what's called a trauma narrative, where you rewrite what happened over and over and over again. And by doing that and writing down as much as I remembered in full detail, it unlocked the rest of it. And that's where I got the rest of the fine-tuned details. Terrifying to relive all that because you feel it all over again, and it's especially for me, like it's an attempted murder survival, it's
right.
horrifying to go through that again.
Now
especially years later, watching yourself when you're basically a kid,
So the NDE was 10 years ago, and it was caused by someone else wanting to end your life. Is that correct? But
I was targeted, yeah.
And
it was
then
13 maybe years ago now.
And then recently, you decided you might want to end your own life, and that's kind of when it all came back to you.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right.
Crazy, right?
It's going to be a good story. You'll be the second one, perhaps, that I've had that. I had another guest that she was a dancer, stripper, basically. And she started dating one of her clients, and the client told her that he's single. But it turned out later that he was married. And his wife wanted to end her life for that.
Oh my God.
And
I can't imagine.
That attack resulted in her NDE or whatever, her experience.
That's wild.
Yeah. I think that's another one. Actually, I've had one more, and this is an interesting one, too. There was a guy that I had that was at a party, and a guy came in drunk and just started shooting people, and he got shot 5 times, I think, and survived
Jesus.
it. He survived it and had an NDE. I forgot that one. I forgot about that one.
Yeah. I feel like after you have an NDE, you start seeing things like really differently. I think you kind of vibrate on a different level, so to speak, than other people. Because I get a lot of like premonitions. I get a lot of, let's say, like storytelling beforehand, because it's more than deja vu, because I remember exact details, exactly what happened. So it's it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable.
Is there a lot when you started recalling this stuff? Well, let me re-ask this. Before the NDE, did you, the events leading up to it, did you forget that too? And then that also came back with the download of the NDE, or just the NDE came back and you already remembered the events leading up to it?
So I remembered how it started and then me finding my way home. Mm-hmm. And that's all I remembered. And it's part of the reason I didn't tell anybody, because I was like, that's embarrassing. You were 18, and you were abducted basically at 18. Who does that? And then you had to walk home after. Like, this is how I thought of it. It's part of the reason I didn't tell anybody. But once I unlocked my recessed memories, it was like, oh, whoa, that's way more than I thought could have been possible, because it just seems so unbelievable when you're looking back at it. After believing for 10 plus years that you were just abducted, and it was not the case. And my attacker laid out it was like a villain plot, honestly, because he laid everything out in full detail, the entire plan.
Yeah, so that's completely, what do they say, premeditated or whatever. So
yeah, he targeted me for 6 months.
Did he go to jail for it?
Nope. I don't know who he was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you know right after you came back that you had an NDE, but you didn't remember very much and you were different, or you didn't remember any of the NDE until 10 years later?
No, I remembered the NDE. Like, I remembered the light. I remembered following it. And I remembered thinking it was my mother, because it was the main reason that I got home. Mm-hmm. It was the only reason really that I got home. I remembered that portion. I just didn't understand where it all linked. I didn't have any details or what happened to get me to that point.
Right. So that gave you the rest. Okay. So that's interesting then. So you already had some memory of it. And do you think that your life already changed, just not from the event, but from the NDE? Because I'm sure your life changed from the trauma that happened too.
It did. It definitely changed from the NDE, because I started seeing things differently. Like, oddly enough, I could see in the dark. Most people can't do that. Like, see perfectly fine. That's not normal. And it's not a perceived I can see. It's a crystal clear, crisp, I can see around me in the dark. And just I read people now differently. Instead of going off body language or going off, the way their facial expressions go, I literally read their energy.
Yeah.
When I walk up to somebody or when I'm around somebody. So I immediately after was changed. I knew something was off,
Are you ever at the grocery store and you're going down an aisle and you feel someone's energy and you're like, whoa, this person's spooky, and you just turn around and go a different direction?
I mean, yeah, I get those kind of red flags. For me, it's more like, and this is where I tie my comedy into it too. So for example, if I'm, let's say, out at a bar or something, and there's a guy and he's holding his shot glass and he looks like that's about to be his last shot glass, I feel that. It hits me, whether I'm looking for it or not. And I immediately walk over to that direction. I'll say something crazy. Doesn't matter what it is. Like the tortoise in the parking lot slashed your tires, and they'll look at me like I'm nuts. But then I'll walk away like poof, like a ghost. I disappear like I was never there. And I see them looking around confused. But now I also see that they're now paying attention to what's going on around them. They're not in their head anymore. So I've taken that energy and I've shifted it to something else. So that's kind of how I read energies. And I'll say some crazy stuff. I won't get into the inappropriate stuff I say, but I have no filter, and I do not care. So I'll say whatever means necessary to change that mindset, because I've been in that mindset, and it's not a good place to be.
Wow.
So.
All right. Well, like I said, my email is in the description below. Please email me, and let's get you scheduled soon. And email me, and then we'll get the whole story.
Yeah.
Thanks for
having me.
Thank you for coming on and sharing, and I'll see you soon.
All righty.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Zoom myself? What does that mean? All right, my wife says that I need to Zoom myself. I'm not sure what that means. And we're waiting for Dion, child. Hello? Let me put him up this. That's connecting. Oh, all right, it's already connecting. I'll put it anyway. Waiting for audio to sync. And this was made, you guys, by Penny Sutton in the chat there. So I'm going to plug her because she makes greeting cards and all kinds of stuff. So if you're getting married, or if you're someone you know is getting married and you need wedding invitations, she can hook you up. Screen is... No, it's fine. That's how it was last time. It's smaller because I put the chat in there. The screen looks a little bit different now. I think it was Luke. And I made the screen a little bit smaller so I can have the chat on the side, so I don't have to look this way to see the chat. That way I can see the chat. I started that last week and was really... Dion, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I can hear you.
All right. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We made it. So where are you? Should I call you Dion or
Yes.
another name?
Yes, Dion is my name. So yes, thank you. And first of all, thank you for letting me be part of this wonderful, amazing channel of yours. So
well, thank you.
you.
You're welcome. So it sounds like you're from England. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So what do you have to share with us this evening?
Well, this experience happened to me when I was about 18 years old. I'm now in my late 30s. The experience is still very, very clear in my mind. It was what you or I would call an out-of-body experience. People ask me, was it a dream? And I tell them, I really don't think it was a dream, because I have dreams, and this was a whole different experience in the sense that it was so real. It felt as real as I am talking to you now, but even more real.
So
and
did this happen while you were sleeping?
Yes, in fact, I had gone to lay down on my bed back at my mother's house, and I had made myself comfortable. I then sort of closed my eyes and started to drift off into that wonderful, blissful state of, I guess you could say, sleep. However, I didn't actually go to sleep. I found myself, as I sort of term it, I found myself in two places. So my consciousness, which is a term which, you know, which I use a lot now. I also have recognized that the people who come onto your channel use it a lot. My consciousness or my mind was elsewhere. So as I was laid down on the bed, I had this wonderful vibration come across me, and a wonderful tingling feeling from head to toe. The next thing I knew, the next thing I was aware of, was almost like watching a movie come before my vision, and I came out of my body. But at the same time, I was aware of the bed and the physical room. So I had my eyes closed. I had this vision that appeared before me, but yet I could feel the bed, I could feel my body, I could hear the sounds around me, but I was split.
It's like you're bilocated.
Yes, I guess so. And this is when the out-of-body occurred, the out-of-body experience occurred, because I felt myself leave my body, leave my bedroom. This was during the day, by the way. I actually went to have a little rest during the day. So this all happened during the day. And the next thing I was aware of was, oh, mind you, the whole time I was aware of my bed, and the feeling of the bed beneath me. I couldn't sort of move, so I had a sort of sleep paralysis, which I know that there is some sort of psychological explanation for that, but nonetheless, I was having an experience which was definitely out of body. And I found myself flying to a field, and this field I recognized because I used to walk past this field every day after I left college, I used to walk home from college past this field, and I found myself suspended above this beautiful field, which had animals in it. Now, the strange thing was that at this point, it was sort of nighttime. So even though I was in this state during the day, whilst I was above this field, it was actually dark. I recalled seeing the stars above me, and if you can sort of imagine Superman meets Peter Pan flying. So I'm there flying over this field at the same time as I described having this sort of split experience. I was aware of the room, and my stomach was turning over, a bit like when you go on a roller coaster and or you go over a hill and your stomach turns. It's that wonderful feeling. So I was aware of that physical feeling of my stomach turning. And in fact, I actually recall making the sounds as though I was on a ride. So I was, making some wonderful sounds as I was on this wonderful flight. Basically, from then on, I continued to fly over this field. I flew down to the animals. I vividly remember seeing a horse and some sheep, and I was flying over them, and the animals saw me, or saw my astral body, and they sort of ran away in fear. I say fear because they must not have, I guess in their mind they must have seen me, as however they would have seen me, as consciousness. So they sort of saw me and ran off. And I continued flying a bit like Superman around this field. I don't know why I was at the field. I have no explanation for why I chose that destination, but I was there. And basically, it carried on for time. There was no time. I wasn't aware of time. I wasn't particularly aware of color or sounds. I just remember feeling very peaceful, and I could almost feel a breeze which was flowing through me. Meanwhile, I was also on the bed and in this blissful, euphoric state of the stomach turning and being very much aware of the physical room, but equally my mind was in the field. So
well, let me stop you for one moment here. During that point in time, or while this was happening, did you make the realization that, hey, I'm out of my body, or did you think this was all a dream?
Neither. I think what was happening was, no, actually, I do remember as I was on the bed actually thinking, what is going on? Trying to make sense of it, but not thinking dream, but also not thinking out of body. I was just having the experience. I think at that age, I'm now 39, I was 18 then, maybe 17 or 18. And although I had read books on the paranormal and the supernatural and things like that, I don't think I was very aware of this concept of the outer body experience. So whilst it was happening to me, I don't think I was consciously thinking, wow, this is a great dream. I was just experiencing it, and it was absolutely the most mind-blowing experience of my life.
Now, this was 20 years ago, approximately.
Yes.
Has this happened again since?
Well, just to quickly go back to the story, I then ended up flying back into my bedroom window and seeing my body and flying into my chest area, and then I came to full consciousness. So I distinctly remember the feeling of flying, a bit like in the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze. I know it might sound a little bit daft to compare it to that, but it was like I was going back into the body, and then I sort of came round with a bang, and I was like, whew. Now, in terms of if I've had this since, I haven't had. I've had a similar experience, but I would call the other experiences lucid dreams, which is another whole story, because my lucid dream world is just. I never actually thought that I never actually thought that it was possible to have a lucid dream. I always had very normal dreams, as in dreams that really, sort of, were hazy and didn't make sense. But when I started having lucid dreams, the first one I had, it just blew me away, because it was the realization that, hey, they are actually real. It is actually true. Lucid dreams are actually real. And it happened to me 2 or 3 times, having a lucid dream. So it was a real awakening for me to be able to experience both the outer body experience, but also the lucid dream.
How did the out of body experience change your life?
It made me acknowledge that it made me realize that there's a lot more to the human mind and to the human brain and to the human consciousness than meets the eye. It made me I think in a way it gave me a comfort, knowing, because I've always had a very terrible fear of death, ever since I was very little. I've always been very scared of actually dying. So it gave me some comfort, and it also gave me the sort of realization that these things do occur, these things do happen, and that when somebody says to me, it must have been an hallucination, you must have just been having a wonderful dream, I can't accept that, because I have dreams, and these experiences have been so very different to the dream world, so to speak.
I'm going to ask you and the chat this. When a person fears death, do you think what are they exactly fearing? Not existing anymore? Something painful happening to them? Or not being here and having fun and doing the things they want to do?
Yes, I think it differs for different for every person. I think the fear of death is different. Some people, as you described, some people fear being ill and don't fear what comes after. Other people, for me personally, it was always the notion that death could be oblivion, and to try and get that into my mind, to try and imagine nothingness or oblivion after I die. It's a very scary thought. I try not to think about it because it makes me feel a bit strange. But having these experiences, I'm not as scared about dying of an illness. I mean, most people do die of illnesses. I'm not really scared of that. But you see, saying that, even though I know now that something happens after death, even though I know something happens, it doesn't make my anxiety any less, because it's the unknown. Mm-hmm. So even though I know there's a journey to come, mm-hmm. It doesn't ease my anxiety, because I'm so used to the physical world, the physical body, the physical experiences, what I see before me now, being able to touch things, be able to. So it creates anxiety in me either way, thinking, well, if there's nothing, that's scary, but now I've had these experiences, I'm pretty convinced that there's something, but what that something is equally as as almost, but then saying that, you hear all these wonderful stories on your podcast and on the internet and in books about how when we do die, it's the most, well, for the vast majority of people, it's the most beautiful experience that could ever possibly happen to a person. So that gives me comfort, knowing that I'm scared now, but after watching the videos and reading the books about what people experience, I know that when the time comes, I'll probably be in a good place and a good frame of mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least you've had that experience, so you have some confirmation that consciousness is not, it's not local to the body. It's non-local. Consciousness is, goes beyond the body. And so once, even though you're here now, but you'll go somewhere else later.
Yes.
And
that's comforting. Yeah. Very comforting to know. Yes.
Well, Dion, thank you so much for coming and sharing. I really appreciate you, and I hope you come back and share with us again. And also, thank you so much for staying up late, because I know it's got to be late over there.
Oh, it is. It's 1:30 in the morning. I'm usually in bed by about 9:30.
Oh, wow.
In the evening. So. Wow. But thank you so much, Jeff, and thank you for your great channel, because I watch it every day. So it's a fantastic channel. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let me go back and catch this. Tina, thank you so much for that super thanks. I really appreciate that. Talise, thank you for that. Super thanks, and thank you for being my #1 fan. I appreciate you. And I had someone else that was in line, and I lost her. Maybe she'll be back. So now that we got people here anyways, I was waiting for that. If you're new here, if you look at the description below, there's a few things. I have a thing called a Discord, which is kind of like, they're basically chat rooms, but they're my own personal chat rooms. There's over 400 people there, so you can go there and hang out with like-minded people. You can chat, you can post videos, you can video chat, audio chat. You can kind of do whatever. It's kind of like a hangout place. Also, people, there's like 3 rooms, and one of the rooms says services. There are people there that offer free services, like Merlin's there, and he does free readings, tarot readings, and sometimes I think Typo does stuff, and I think there was someone else. So if that's something that you would be interested in, or a service that you would like to provide, then you can do that there as well, as long as you're doing it for free. Also underneath the video is the JeffMara Podcast Facebook page, and I post a lot. Besides posting the videos there, I post news articles and things I find interesting. Below that is my personal Facebook page. So if you want to friend me, I'm accepting people till I hit 5,000 friends, so that's there. You're welcome to friend me. And then also, there's a channel, and it's called JeffMara NDE Clips. And what I've done is I started taking videos, and I just cut out the person's NDE. There's no intro, and there's no questions. It's just the NDE, and most of them are about 5 to 20 minutes. And those are for people who, don't want to invest their time in all of this stuff. They just want to hear the person's experience. So if you're interested in that, you might enjoy those as well. All right, so I think let's see what's on what's going to be new posting. I mentioned her last week, and I finally recorded with her yesterday, a woman named Peruqua. She's an Australian international recording artist. Well, I should re-say that. She's an international recording artist from Australia, and I think her music is described as the most feminine music on the planet. It's spiritual music. it's kind of like world music with some of it with elements of like Indian and Native American and different worldly elements to it. It's kind of electronic mix. For those of you who are music aficionados, you may know of a band called Thievery Corporation, and that's kind of who I put her close enough to. But she has her music videos on YouTube. It's Peruquois, Peruquois, I think is how you spell it. And she's had a very interesting life, leaving Australia. She started out as a jazz singer and then went from jazz to like world music and spiritual music. And she ended up marrying a Native American shaman and moved from Australia to New Mexico, and he already had like 5 wives or 6 wives, so she ended up having these sister wives and was in this marriage for a while too. So but she's a very nice woman. She's a very talented singer, and she's remarried now and living in Russia. And so I did a really nice interview with her, and I'm planning on posting that Monday night, so I hope you will enjoy that. And we got Leonard, so let's invite Leonard here. And we'll go from there.
Hello,
Leonard,
am I on?
I hear you. I just don't see you yet.
Yeah.
I just clicked ask. There you go. Hey, Leonard.
Okay. Yeah, hi.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing?
Great, thank you. What do you got? What do you got to share with us today?
I have a short story.
Great.
So about 10 years ago, I was out walking near the water. This is near China Camp, San Rafael. And I was very worried about my future. And so I said a prayer. And it was an unusual prayer because I said, I'm really in a bind. Anybody who wants to help me, I said, any prophets, all my angels, all my demons, which normally I would never say something like that. But I said, anybody who wants to help me, I'm open to it. And when I said this, I felt like it was heard. And maybe some people know, I don't know if you know how this is, but if you say a prayer and you feel like, oh, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. You said it was her, and who is her?
Heard.
Oh, heard. Okay.
Yeah. So I thought, well, I wonder if I can get a sign. And then this wind came, and where I was walking, it's near the water. And so this wind came over the water, circled around me. And so I turned and I looked, and up in the sky, I saw this huge cloud dragon. And it looked like it was rising up and looked like the sun was coming down. And they joined so that the sun went right into its mouth. And to me, it symbolized like the joining of the divine and the worldly cooperating, like the angels and the demons cooperating. And it was amazing. And it was something, and nobody else was around. This was like 2 PM. And I thought, wow, this is the kind of thing you tell people, and it doesn't mean much if they can't see it. And I thought, I wish I had a camera. And I realized, oh, I just got this cell phone and I can take a picture. So I took a couple pictures of it, and I'm going to try to show you a picture. Let's see.
All right, let me let you.
Oh,
let me.
Can't.
Oh, I can. Now I made it available for you to screen share.
Oh, okay.
I turned it on.
Oh, nice.
Because people, I don't need to talk about that.
Yeah. You know what? That day that happened,
oh, you were there.
I tried to go on your show.
Oh, okay, yeah. One day someone was trying to screen share some inappropriate stuff. Actually, they were doing it, and I was having trouble stopping it. Ooh, it kind of looks like, I can see how you say a dragon. For me, it looks like a phoenix.
Oh, okay. Well, so it was breaking up a little here, but maybe you can see on one side, it's got kind of like claws. Can you see it maybe?
What I see
Like,
is a head, you know.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, kind of like a dinosaur too.
Yeah. So the sun's right in its mouth, and it's hard to tell on the camera because it all looks the same brightness, but the sun's right in his mouth. And what's funny about it is it's like how I would doodle a dragon. And it's got the little like alligator style eye, and it's got curly claws. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't see them. But anyway, I thought it would be fun to share that.
Yeah.
Some people see it, some people don't see it.
So you watch the actual head come and, you know, join with the sun.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I didn't get a movie of it. I think it would have been, it was so incredible. I think people would think it was photoshopped, or they wouldn't think it was real. But I got this. So
yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's nice that you actually got it on camera.
Yeah, it's the only thing like that I've ever gotten on camera. So it's nice to kind of have a physical proof that something unusual happened. And it got me thinking, because I thought, well, how did whoever built that, angels or whatever made that, how did they, it was there so quickly, they must have known before I made that prayer. And by the way, it's absolutely huge. It's hard to tell on the camera, on the photo, but it was enormous. It filled the whole sky. So it's not like something that could get created really quickly. And I noticed on this photo, it happened on 12/12/2012, which I thought was
12,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost looks like I see a C, F, and some, like a C and an F, or like letters, up to the upper right. Above it and to the right, well, it's on my right. I don't know if it's your right or left, but, like behind the head, do you see those little thin, wispy clouds?
Oh, yeah.
It looks like parts of letters. Not entire letters, but it looks like letters that kind of faded.
Yeah, I can't see it too well, but
what was the prayer that you made again before you asked for confirmation?
I said, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I basically said any prophets, all my angels, all my demons, any entity that wants to help me, I'm open to it.
Why did you ask all your demons?
I don't know. Well, I guess something to explain is that how I look at demons, demons, it can mean a lot of different things. Should I go back to regular? Should I keep the picture up?
I was trying to take the picture down. I don't even know how to do it.
Okay, I'll stop it.
Oh, there we go. Cool.
Okay.
So yeah.
So old world, demon, all spirits were called demons.
Oh, okay. I understand.
And how I think of demons is more worldly spirits. So like forces of nature. And sometimes, demons as forces of nature that have gone out of control, within a person. But that's kind of how I think of it, is not as
not
evil
negative,
per se,
not entities attacking you.
Yeah, just kind of neutral. They they might attack you, but yeah.
I had a guest, I can't remember, I might have been Michael Carter, but one of my guests pointed out recently in the Bible that Jesus uses the word ghosts, because I think at some point I don't remember what happened, but he turned to his disciples and said, hey, what did you think you saw a ghost?
Oh.
Which I thought was fascinating, that the word ghost, they're using ghosts in the Bible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I
at
mean,
that point, they've been talking about ghosts for a couple thousand years, if not longer.
yeah. That reminds me. If you have nobody else in chat, I could tell you a ghost story. Because it's coming up on Halloween.
I don't have anybody waiting, and let me just
Okay.
make a couple announcements here, and then we
Sure.
can hang out until the next person comes. There was someone asking how to get in. It was a UFO person. I saw it said UFO something. But if you want to join me, all you have to do is get on Zoom, and right below the video, in the description, it has the Zoom room ID and link and no password. So you just go to Zoom, you click join a meeting, and then it'll ask you for the room ID, and it's right there. You type that in, and it'll say, what's the passcode? And then you type that in, and then you'll be there. And then you'll pop up in my little window here and say, wanting to be next. So, yeah, go ahead and tell us while we're waiting for the next person.
Okay. So I've had 3 ghost encounters. This is the first time I experienced a ghost. Mm-hmm. It was a friend of mine, best friend when I was a kid, and I used to go sleep over there. And this was late teens, I think. And he said, "Hey, why don't you come over, for old times?" And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great." And he said, "You're the only friend of mine who will come sleep over anymore." And I said, "Really? How come?" He said, "Well, his dog died, and everybody who sleeps over, they sleep on the bottom bunk, and they've had a weird dog experience, like a ghost." And I was like, yeah, okay. I was pretty skeptical of ghosts back then. I wasn't. I won't say I completely disbelieved, but I was like, yeah, until I see it, I don't know that I believe in that. So anyway, I went over there, and at night, I always take a while to fall asleep, and he's one of those people who'd fall asleep right away. So I'm lying there, and there's his room had a door to the laundry room, which went to outside, and it's a heavy door with a glass handle and a glass center. And I'm lying there, and I hear the doorknob turn just a tiny bit, like somebody's too weak to turn it. And so I say to my friend, I say, "Carl," trying to wake him up. And I hear it again. And I'm like, "Carl," and getting pretty nervous because I'm like, there shouldn't be anybody in that room. And then finally it turns all the way and the door opens. And I yell my friend's name. I'm like, "Carl, wake up." And he says, "What?" And that door, it opened, and I heard a dog come into the room and go across the floor toward away from where the beds were, where the bunk bed was. And he said, "What?" And he got up, he turned on the light, he looked around. There's no dog in the room, and he closed the door. Wow. But that kind of freaked me out. It didn't feel malicious, but I was afraid of ghosts back then. I'm still a little, not as much now. I understand them better, but and it got me thinking about a lot of things, like, do ghosts experience gravity? Like, why would a ghost make the sound of a footfall? And years later, I also realized, because I didn't have a dog back then, and I realized when a dog walks across a hard floor, you can hear its claws, but there were no claws. I just heard the thudding of a big dog. And the dog that died was a Malamute, by the way. They're pretty big dogs. So, yeah, that's my ghost story.
Yeah, it's interesting, and that's the first time I've heard of a dog ghost story. So good that you shared that.
Yeah, and what I like about it being a dog is I've had other ghost experiences, and I've kind of wondered, are the are these like human spirits messing with me? But the dog, I don't think a dog messes with you. A dog's just being a dog.
Yeah.
So, like,
and I had a guest recently, I think it was Julie Ryan, that was saying that your dog, when you're close to death, your dogs come for you or your pets come for you. But this one just, I guess, loved, you know, it loved its previous, it loved Carl so much it just liked to hang out.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were really close.
Yeah. All right, Leonard, I got my next guest. So thanks for coming and sharing with us. Have a great weekend and don't be a stranger.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Cheers. Uh-oh, I messed that up. I got to get my thing automated so I don't have to do this clicking business. And then if I click the wrong button, I just submitted some kind of report that I wasn't supposed to. Higher vibrations. Welcome, and you might want to turn down the YouTube volume.
Is that good?
You're good. Yeah, you're good. Okay. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. And Talise, if you want to join me, I saw you have some questions, so feel free to join me. And again, the Zoom link is there, and the Zoom ID and the Zoom password is there, so you can join us. All right, welcome back. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Nice to see you as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you have to share with us today?
There has been an increase in ET interaction the past week for a lot of individuals, and
really,
yeah, for me in particular. But I have the rare honor of getting to interact with large groups of starseeds every week when I do these Zoom meetings that I do these group things, and a lot of stories are coming through right now.
Are you also a starseed?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't identify with any of it. We aren't human,
right?
You know, and human is a transplant as it is, you know. Right. So, and the longer I've been, I had a near-death experience when I was 4 and kind of started to understand a lot of things, a lot broader picture than many people do, perhaps. And along that journey, you know, you have these phases of awakening and understanding that happen. I at first was like, you know, what ray am I? You know, how are you, a blue ray or violet ray, whatever? And what star system am I from? And then after a while, you realize that you've been through all of them, and that kind of thing. So that's my very long version of answering that question. That I mean, we're all of them, and so it's kind of hard to know what you are, because you're everything.
So how do I know you have a YouTube channel and you do live Zooms on your channel, and a lot of starseeds come to your live stream?
I don't do live streams very often. What those are, it's a private Zoom meeting that I'll like post the link for it in my community section, and people just join. And it's you know, the thing is, right now there's so many of us that we're noticing a lot of, you know, I've talked about ascension symptoms a lot. That's a thing that as kind of like a lot of newly awakening people can really relate to that, you know, and awakening a lot of times will occur. You'll have some type of catalyst. And one of those catalysts is recollection of ET contact, you know, and that's a beautiful door that you get to open up and start to see all these other things. And but one of those things right now is the need to speak. You know, how many of us, for however many lifetimes, have we been prevented from speaking our authentic truth? And, you know, not just as a result of fear of something happening, but like things like witch trials and so on. And now is a time all of a sudden everybody is noticing the effect on their throat and even their mouth area, and just physical weird symptoms and thyroid things. And then when they come to these Zoom meetings and they speak their truth in a place where people don't judge them, they all are on the same page. It's so empowering, Jeff. It's like watching hope appear in the eyes of the hopeless is not something you can describe, I don't think, you know, but it's really cool.
Why do you think you attract so many star seeds?
Well, I mean, it's the corner market that I take in the YouTube world, you know, like I don't know. It feels magnetic also too. That's an interesting question. I hadn't really, you know, even going into a grocery store or anywhere in the world, the people just come like a magnet. And it's funny because I am very, very not antisocial, but introverted. And you know, so for me to have so many individuals want to interact with me is a little bit overwhelming, to be honest. But yeah, people will touch me in the store too. And for the longest time, I thought that whenever I went grocery shopping, I just went at the wrong time. And I started to find out that it's not that. The people are actually clumping around me. My friends that have come can find me by looking for the crowd of people. And they're not talking to me most of the time. We'll also have most empaths who can relate to this, starseeds, whatever it is that you identify with, is that when you're in a setting, strangers will come up and start telling you their deepest, darkest secrets. And while they're telling you, they're saying, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I've never told anyone before, but then they keep talking, you know, and it's just, no place is safe on the bus, on the street, you know, it happens. And just like you, I think you might relate that people feel comfortable. They don't know why, but I think it's the vibration. We're vibrating and sending out that love, you know, and allowing ourselves to be seen. And as that example comes through, people want to do that too, you know, and it's really cool. But
with all these starseeds talking about their ET contact, have you noticed any patterns?
Most of it has been, it seems there's a few of us who have had the same beings. I actually drew an image. I'm not the best artist, but I drew an image of the one that I had interaction I had with on Thursday. They were the one, I mean, by the species. There were 3 of them in the beginning. And then when I said there's always 3, why is there always 3? All of a sudden I noticed there were many behind them. And, but this one is more of like, reminds me of water, but also they're not wet, if that makes any sense. I was able to put my hand through his shoulder and it was cool, like water, but then I was surprised to find my hand wasn't wet. And but this is, again, please forgive my art, but that's kind of the look. A little bit more of a bulbous head, kind of, but I wouldn't, it reminded me more of like a butterfly without wings in a way, of the features, and just beautiful, beautiful beings. They and I got to find out, did you know, I don't know, this is something that I was really excited to learn, that light is cool, light is cold. And so that's why, I don't know about you, I'm going through this physical symptom, a lot of people are, that one of the most common ascension symptoms is hot cold flashes, you know, like when at first, if you, as a woman, you think, am I going through menopause kind of thing. And light is cool. So as this light, we're getting more light in us. All of this dormant junk DNA, turns out it was dormant DNA, right? And it's activating now. We're getting the option to have this light come in, and as it comes in, we feel cooler, and then our body starts to recover and do what it needs to do to enable this new DNA, this activating DNA, so then we become overly hot. And so that's why this energy is happening with the temperatures right now. Isn't that cool? It was fun to find out why.
How did you have contact with that being that you've went through his shoulder?
I meditate a lot, and I was doing a meditation centering thing. Like I was noticing some lingering energies of just like heaviness and kind of icky funk feelings. So I was trying to, I was sending out the love. And when I send out the love vibration, a lot of times I'm kind of inviting conversation. And I don't know what kind of conversation that ends up being. Sometimes it's channeled stuff. I end up doing channeled things because like I'm having archangel energy, and sometimes I'm finding myself interacting with a being. So I was doing that, and then all of a sudden I was someplace else, and I was on a ship. I know I was on a ship, and there was 3 of them, and they looked at me as if like in expectation, as if I'm supposed to recall who they are. So that's fascinating because, you know, most of us who have these interactions have had them for many, many years. We may not recall it, you know, and so it's like we're a bunch of souls with dementia, you know, and they're just trying to like, remember me, grandma, you know. So
for most of the star seeds that you talk to during your Zoom meeting, how are they contacting? Also through meditation or just conscious awake contact, or what?
Everyone's story is different. I don't feel like I want to talk very much about details about other people. However, I can say that a lot of new interactions have been happening for individuals. I think that some of us find that we don't realize it, that we think it's a dream because it's prompted in sleep, you know, and one of my telltale signs that it's happening, or that something had happened, whether I recall a memory of an interaction, is that I'll be sleepwalking. I'll wake up in a different place, you know, and when I came back from this experience, I noticed I felt sore under my armpits, as if someone had helped me move, a little too rough maybe. And I was laying on the foot of my bed. I never do that. But it seems to me it's most common in that place of sleep, is what my answer is after that long explanation. Sorry.
That's cool. Well, is your YouTube channel also called Higher Vibrations?
It is. It's called Higher Vibrations.
And so if you guys want to, I guess, can everybody join you on these Zoom meetings if they want?
Yeah, they can. And my community section, there's a link. We meet 3 times a week, and you just go to the community section. We're actually meeting tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I think at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's usually about 2 hours long. It's, you know, just a bunch of us on this awakening journey trying to figure it out together.
Cool. All right. Well, there you guys have it. If you want to join her, she'll be there tomorrow. It's Higher Vibrations YouTube channel, 3 o'clock. What time are you? Eastern?
Pacific Standard.
Oh, Pacific. Okay, 3 Pacific. That's 4, 5, and that would be 6 Eastern. So whatever you are, you can figure it out. All right. Well, thanks for coming and sharing with us. I got to run to the next guest, and I hope you guys have fun tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. Take care. Bye-bye. Don't report. I've got to click don't report. All right, Talise is here, and she has a question, I think, that she needed to ask, or something's going on. Talk to her and see what's up.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but
well, you're doing fine. So thank you for the super thanks again. And where are you? First of all, where are you Zooming from?
I'm in Tampa, Florida.
Tampa. All right. So you're in Tampa, and what's going on? What would you like to talk about?
Oh boy, it's been a long 3 weeks. We evacuated, me and my family, my 3 boys, my older son's father started living with us right after the storm. So now there's 5 of us and a dog. But what happened was when we came home and turned on the pump, we're on a well pump.
Yeah.
I guess some type of surge must have knocked it out, but we haven't had water for 3 weeks, and I've called everywhere. I even called the city of Tampa to get a quote to see if we could get, city water, and they said $250,000.
My gosh.
I called someone to see how much it would be to dig a new well because my house was built over the old well. I guess they didn't do a permit and they built it over it. So we have to have a whole new well dug. So they're talking about $12,000 to $15,000.
Wow.
So I was just hoping that I'm trying to get the word out everywhere. I was on DeSantis's page today crying out for help just to see if we can get some assistance with getting that well dug. I just need an estimate. FEMA's requesting an estimate. And if I can just get the estimate, I'm thinking maybe they'll at least get us some water going somehow.
Yeah, it's great that you contacted FEMA, because that was my next thing is, you were wondering who to contact, and I was going to say, why don't you try contacting FEMA? So you're already on the game. I don't know. I mean, is there, I don't know much about, well water, because I've never owned property that you have to use well water, but is there can you look it up on Craigslist or something that somebody that can come give you an estimate, or I'm assuming there's got to be, if you Google somebody in your area, somebody can do it.
I have, and everyone that's come out have, it's someone, he says, I don't work on yours. What's happening is it's cemented in the middle of my laundry room, believe it or not. And no one wants to work with it because you can't do anything with it. The property may be too small to fit their trucks. I mean, everybody is just, I guess, backed up from the storm. So I'm having trouble even getting an estimate. So if I could just, they said it doesn't even have to be a licensed person. It can just be someone who does somebody who does it on the side. I just need a written estimate. So I thought I'd just put it out there.
Right. I'm glad that you put it out there. And I truly believe that sometimes when you want something, in my own personal experience, just saying it, for some reason, the universe will bring it to you. So, so you've said it now out loud. Have you tried doing anything like meditating or trying to, manifest it somehow?
Oh, definitely. Lots of prayers, I even set up a GoFundMe. I've done Red Cross. I've called every city ordinance I can think of. I've tried. It's coming. I feel it. I'm not in a panic. It's coming.
Well, somebody here had a good point. Lisa said, contact a realtor in your area. She even says Jeff Lewis with EXP Realty. He may know somebody.
Lewis.
That's
all right. I'll look him up.
Let's see if anybody else has any advice in the chat. Julie wants to do a group prayer for you.
Oh, thank you.
See? Let's see if anybody else is saying anything here. Go to the drinking water department in Tampa.
Drinking water department. Okay, I haven't heard of them yet.
He said, ask the superintendent of the drinking water department. I guess it's he or she. It's Jay Lizard. It could be a he or she.
I will try that.
And ask your local politicians. That's a good one too. I guess you maybe you tried to reach out to DeSantis. So I don't know if you have I'm sure you have a senator. I don't know how many. Florida has 2 senators. I guess every state does, and then I don't know how many congressmen you have, but
I guess I can look their number up. I haven't tried to call them, but that's my next thing, is calling the governor or whoever's next in line, because I've called everyone else.
Are you going to the grocery store and filling up big 5-gallon jugs of water for right now?
I am.
Maybe you just. Oh, 1 second. Growth in the Dirt is asking, do you have a GoFundMe account?
I do. It's actually under my name on Facebook.
On Facebook.
It's Talise Dahmer, Telice. My last name is D as in dog, OM as in mother, ERT.
Right. So, hope you guys got that. Maybe you can. You can find her on Facebook for that, Talise Dahmer, right?
Thank you.
And it sounds like maybe, is it possible it just kind of got flooded, and maybe once the water table lowers that it'll start working again?
No, because when I turned the pump on, from after we were being gone for a week, it sparked and made a huge cloud of smoke. I thought the house was catching on fire. So yeah.
Maybe they don't have to dig you a new well, just redo the electronics or something.
Well, they told me that wouldn't work. The people who came said that wouldn't work because it's going to end up messing up anyway, because there's something wrong leaking with the I think he called it a prime, and that's why it did what it did.
Have you tried just not Googling, but have you tried searching on YouTube problems with water pumps and water wells like you have? Because sometimes YouTube is an amazing resource, especially for things like fixing your house, like fixing your roof or your plumbing or whatever. Have you looked around there and seen anything?
I have, and people say it's not a good thing to mess with. If you don't know what you're doing, you can really mess something up. So I don't want to. I have my homeowner's insurance hopefully coming out, but I don't know if they're going to cover that. You know how they're funny about stuff if it's not in the house and it's under the ground. So I have my fingers crossed for that, but I don't. I'm pretty sure on my policy it's not going to get covered, but we're going to try.
Yeah, you might as well try it all, because I don't know. I guess I don't know. I mean, you know, it's not really a leak, but it is due to the you know, the hurricanes, due to the storm. So I mean, there's gotta, you never know. I would definitely just put in a call. I mean, the worst they can say is no.
Yeah, they're coming out Monday, and they're gonna assess it, but you know how these insurance companies are.
Yeah, I'm
but
sure
I'm gonna be hopeful.
I know how to. I mean, I don't know how it is as bad as you have. I just know a little bit because I've had water out for a couple days, and it's not fun at all. So
no
way. Where you're at, it's
5 of us.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I was supposed to be starting a new job, and I had to postpone that. I'm a hospice nurse. I'm also a school nurse, but I was supposed to start my hospice nurse job to have 2 full-time jobs because I just can't take it. But I had to postpone that for this because I can't be dirty and come home and not be able to shower, you know, that kind of thing.
Right. All right. Well, I wish you the best, and eventually you're gonna get it fixed. I mean, it's not, you know, it's gonna get fixed. So
it has to.
Someone else says a plumber will install a new pump. Have you called any plumbers?
Yeah, I called this place called Pope's Well Drilling and Tampa Well Drilling. She was really rude. She's like, we can't fit our trucks back there. We can't give you an estimate. If we can't even fit our trucks back there, they're backed up and overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Every place that I've called. So it's because of the storm, I'm sure. But I'm like, I don't have no water. Please just give me an estimate for FEMA, please.
Yeah. Maybe if you call back FEMA and say, hey, I can't even get anybody out here because everybody's not available. No one's available.
I will try that again. Yeah. I every day I spend about 8-9 hours on the phone trying to get somebody to help me. I even called like Rebuilding Tampa Bay, Habitat for Humanity, Red Cross. I mean, just so many, and there's just nothing. But I really appreciate you letting me do this, Jeff. Just put the word out there.
All right. Well, I wish you the best, and I hope you get it on as soon as, you know, get it working as soon as possible. And as soon as you do, come back and tell us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You guys have a great night. Thank you.
Good luck.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Cheers. Don't report. All right. So I hope she gets that water rolling again soon. Man, that's terrible. No water. So where was I earlier while we're waiting for the next person? It's 8:18. Then this night's going by fast. So I told you guys about Peruqua, and I think you guys will. Like I said, I've been mentioning this NDE that I also recorded a few days ago that I'm going to post tomorrow evening. Let's see. I'm going to be talking with a man tomorrow about UFOs and the Bible. Let's go through. Record another on Tuesday. I think that's another day. Hans Wilhelm, and I think he does some kind of spirituality teaching us. Another NDE on probably another on Thursday, and probably another NDE on Friday. I'm just not. I got to get better at leaving notes on what these guests are going to be talking about. Anything else? With you. So that's the latest. That's the latest. What's coming up? That is the latest. All right. So while we're waiting to the next guest, sometimes I will talk to you guys about, and I put down news articles, and I think last week we didn't get to any of them. Keep them on the JeffMara Facebook page. So let's see if we can get to some of those. see if I can back to home. Where is the search on? Usually at the top of Facebook. Maybe they've changed stuff around. Looks like they have. All right. Got it. Scroll here. You have to scroll down about 4 or 5 of my podcasts. And one of them is there's somebody who has created a robot now that mimics facial expression. You can watch it. He's smiling and frowning and doing all this thing, and the robot does it. So, saying world's most advanced humanoid robot, a mecha, mimics a researcher's facial expressions in real time with eerie precision in a creepy new video. You can just show it. It's if you go to that article, you can see him and the robot together doing all the facial expressions. And I feel like we're not too far away from, having robots with us in our daily lives. All right, Mr. Cake is here. Let's see what Steven's. And by the way, after Steven, I do have the remote viewing object. I'm glad that I saw that on my desk. So I have it here. It's in my hand. I'll keep it in my hand while I'm talking to Steven. And if you want to guess, at least you may get the color, the material, and the shape. Steven, what's going on, bud?
Hello, darling. So nice to see you. I usually like to join in when another guest is on so I can look at myself. But if I just join in, you bring me right in right away. I don't get to tweak any settings. So I hope it's all working right.
It is working good. So what is up with mother and father lately?
Oh, well, see, we all need something in life. And so I need people to say, I love you and I got your back. Mm-hmm. And they said, no one in my life is saying that. So they're telling me that. They said, we're stepping in, we love you, and we got your back. Mm-hmm. And they said they like my attitude, my never give up. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna pray it out. We're gonna do whatever it takes to get it solved. They like that attitude. So we all have like an oversoul quality. So Mary's, she said don't go in, but she said go into my stuff. I like to take complex things and make them simple. So if I wrote the Bible, it'd be like 10 to 15 pages long, and I'd say like, hey, we can get on to other stuff. But you got to make sure you're getting the basics. And the basics are pray. And that means ask God to help in everything you do, including your podcast. Just say, hey, help this work out well. And they told me they're blessing your podcast. They like it and they're blessing it. I can't cheat. My internet must be, I can't even see chat right now, but bless everyone in the chat and everyone listening. Yes. Thank you.
So I think that you're still making videos, right?
Yeah, they gave me all these abilities now, so I can do things I couldn't do before, like moves, like I can do dancing and singing and juggling. So I have a chart. It's on one of my videos about our gifts and assumptions. And so every ability you do, it's either going to be painful, deficient, or that's the negative, or it's like a task. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes fun, and then you become a master at it. It still takes energy, but then when you get into the love and the joy, now it's effortless. It just goes. So before, juggling and doing Trump impressions took energy. I was a master at it, but it took energy. Now it just flows. They gave me the gift, so I go, let me tell you something, folks. We're coming back this November. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. The bear chef's biting no more. Elf on the shelf. We're putting Elf on the shelf. You're gonna love it. So that's effortless now. Before I had one impression that was effortless. It was Doc Brown. I was like, Marty, I just got back from 1985. You wouldn't believe who's president, Marty. They have a comedian. Bob Hope is the president in 1980. I think you had a comedian on here. And this I want to
Well,
say I
she was
love women comedian. They're so
yeah,
wonderful.
she was our first guest this evening. She's a comedian as well as a near-death experiencer.
This is one interesting thing they told me is that they said don't get into specifics, but comedy goes real negative too easily. So I'm trying to keep it light, trying to keep it positive, but it's too easy to get into the negative stuff. If you look at like the Comedy Central roast, like it just gets real negative. But every comedian's dream is to get into another comedian's jokes, and that's what all those roasts are about, because they just love getting into other people's jokes.
I read a book about, I think it's called Comedy Writing Secrets. And I think in the book, they basically say that there are 7 different types of jokes. And actually, you can even determine the person who's listening and laughing at the jokes, their personality by the type of jokes being told and what they're laughing at. Like one of them type of a joke is, it has a surprise ending, like it has this surprise that you weren't expecting and it's funny. And then what I think you were saying is some of the darker comedy is comedy that just makes fun of people and belittles people.
Yeah.
Like so-and-so is so fat. Did you see how fat she was or he was? And that's kind of belittling people.
The type of comedy that I like is kind of pointing out
I lost you. You were frozen. Say that again.
Yeah, my internet's. I'm sorry about that.
You've been pretty good so far tonight.
Yeah, I like pointing out the absurdities, because it's like there's always something absurd going on, and that it's like that everyone doesn't want to. No one wants to say anything about it, and then you say something about it, and then everyone's like, they get that relief, like the absurdity of what's going on. There's other comedians that do it. It's like, I just watched a video. This guy named Remy makes funny songs. He called it Clown World, about how you can go in and save someone out of a fire, but they say, but you know what? You can't go in and save them because you're not vaccinated. It's like so absurd. It's like, come on, you just got to go you got to go save someone in a fire. Doesn't matter if you're.
So what is the latest on you moving back in with your family? Because I thought last week it sounded like it was a promising thing and you're working on that.
Yeah, so that's kind of the paradox, is like it's really simple what needs to be done, but they won't make a phone call. They just don't want to do it. They don't want to. My dad's half on board. But my mother is very resistant. My sister is very resistant. My brother is very resistant. So,
what do you mean?
It's hard to believe that they think they think I'm like the worst person in the world. Like, you love me on my show in the audience. They think I'm great, but my family, they just think I'm, my dad thinks I'm good, but he's like, well, he makes excuses for the rest of my family when he should be saying, hey, look, Steve's a good person. If you don't want to talk to him, you're a bad person. That's what everyone should tell him. Like if you think Steve is bad, who are you looking for? Who is this great person you think is maybe? And they said, maybe you're the bad person. Someone needs to stand up to bad people and just say, it's pointing out the hypocrisy, because everyone's a hypocrite. It's just some people are working on it. I'm working on it every day. Just mine are kind of hidden. I think I mentioned what mine are. It's like, if someone steals from me, I just say, bless them, and I hope, it goes to good use and all that stuff. I think if I walk in someone's yard or touch their car, they're going to call the cops on me. Like they're working on it, so. Because I've literally gone to jail for just saying hello to a woman, saying hi to a woman. They put me in jail for that.
Was that the woman that you had a restraining order and you had to keep a certain distance from?
But I hadn't seen her in 12 years.
Wow, I didn't know.
I was told she didn't even live in the state. And I was at a golf course. I was golfing, and I just said hi to a woman, and it just happens to be the wrong woman. She just happened to be there.
Yeah, I don't even
It's
know
all a
how
giant
long.
coincidence. It's not like I was out stalking or anything, doing anything.
I don't know if there's any lawyers in the or
The whole system is
prosecutors in the
corrupt and
audience,
evil.
but how long do those things last? How long does a restraining order
their
last
attitude
for?
is, oh, better. Yeah, well, they said like a year or two, but it's like the way it works is that a woman can just tell any lie she wants, which is illegal, by the way, and then get a restraining order and then show up to where you live and then say you violated the order. Even if you haven't seen this woman in 12 years, you don't even know what she looks like. Like, it's so absurd. I've never heard anyone say that I did anything wrong. It's just that people don't want to follow that. She broke the law. You can't just tell any lie. And then they said I wasn't even allowed to say anything in court. I was told to just sit there and shut up. And I said, don't I have the right to face my accuser? And they said, no, you sit there and you shut up, keep your head down. So they're violating all my rights. Mary's, I talked to Mother. She says she doesn't like that either. And it's not just me. There's a lot of people getting wrongfully punished, and she doesn't like that. The best justice system would be to say just say, like, in general, let's say it doesn't matter what the crime is, but in general, what should happen to that person? And then you just give them that punishment, because no one wants to be a hypocrite. No one's ever going to, if there's like a car thief, you'd say, well, in general, what should happen to someone who steals something? They're not going to say, oh, stealing should be fine and legal, because they don't want their stuff stolen. See, it's just the hypocrites.
Now, for people that are new tonight, can you backtrack and tell them how you're talking to Mother and Father and who Mother and Father are?
Yeah, so we do spiritual work, and then that gets us up into the love area. But then past that, it's everything past that's a gift. You don't earn anything past that. So you work your way up through the ranks, and it's like in the military, and then they said, we're sending you on a special mission. So I was just on my hands, and it's not easy. It's like putting you out on the battlefield. You have to bless everything at all times, because so that's a kind of a myth about demons. Angels just means love. They have love. They're on board with God, and they have love in their hearts. Demons just means they're self-centered. They're not on board. They like to mess with you. So if you have your third eye awakened, they like to just pretend they're God and but here's the funny thing is that they're not always opposed to each other. Like, there's some things they agree on. Like, there's, let's say, demons that want you to get famous. I mean, it's not like they're all, opposed to each other. It's just that they're not involving God. And that's the thing. God has to be involved in everything. Your business, your church, this podcast, everyone's got to say, please, God, help us, and that's all prayer has to be. It doesn't have to be this long on. It just comes from your heart.
Now, we had a guest earlier that didn't really classify demons as something negative. It was just kind of like an older word for spirit. Are you the same way, or do you
it's like a general?
You don't classify them as being negative and dark?
This is what they told me, is that that's a general term. Angel is a general term, and demon is a general term, but there's specifics within that. So you can go into specifics there. But most they said most demons are just people that aren't, entities that aren't on board. They're not necessarily out to harm you, but they want to do it their way. You mean, it's like, playing God, they want to do it their way. They don't want to say, hey, God, what's your way?
Right.
And then there's a middle ground too. There's like, so Peter Pan was an analogy to like purgatory or limbo, where they want to have their own rules. They want their own rules. They don't want mother and father. That's why they leave the house. They leave mother and father, and they go, and they're the lost boys, because they want their own rules. They want to do their own thing.
I never thought
they're
about
not
that.
on board either.
It's interesting. I never put it in that context.
Yeah, they're teaching me all this stuff all the time. They're teaching me a lot more. And there's a lot of stuff they say I can't, they say keep everything general. That's what they keep telling me to do. Don't get into specifics.
Well, what is the most shocking thing they've told you?
Well, one thing that I'd like to get into is that I can now talk to animals and dogs and pets, and it's just the worker here has a dog, and like I'm just relaying information what the dog's saying, and it's really neat. I mean, so all dogs want to be loved. It's just how they want to be loved. So petting the dog, so that's an act of love. So every act of love is actually a blessing. So I'll give a big example. I drove by McDonald's and I hate naming names, but they're not putting love into what they're making. But then I drove by another place. It was this little shop, and I said, they're putting love into what they weren't doing, because there's two sides. There's doing it right and then putting love into it. And so they were putting love into it, but they weren't necessarily making the food right. So it was a little oily, but they did love what they did.
Right.
Kind of like you love what you're doing here.
Yes,
That's
I do.
wonderful. I love being on your show, and I love your guests, and I love your audience. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for having me on.
It's sometimes when you talk, even though the words and the things you're talking about, it could almost be something that Trump says. So if you ever see me smile sometime, I could always see it's almost like
about that one thing, folks. We're coming back this November. Big, big, big. They told me hypocrisy will be revered, folks. No more hypocrites. We don't want bad people running things into the ground, saying they're saving us. They're saving us. They're not saving us, are they, folks? Look at the gas prices, sky high, folks. They don't care about you. They don't care about my golf courses, folks. They don't water the plants there.
All right, brother. Well, thanks for coming and hanging with us tonight. Love you.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Paul McCartney, we write songs all the time, man. Me and John Lennon. He's in the spirit, man, but we're still writing songs together, So. All right. Thanks for having me on, and God bless everyone.
See you, bud.
Bye.
Cheers. All right. That was Steven. For the person who said, what did he say? I saw something about I want some more cake or something. Well, there you've got it. Some Steven cake. And so I was talking about that one guy and his robot. So you may want to check that out. Let's see. I had other articles in case I didn't have anybody to chat with last week, and it was so busy I never got to any of them. There is another one for those of you. Oh, you know what? Let's get to this because I told you about it. And I don't want to forget it, and now it's a great time. So here is the object that's been on my desk for remote viewing, and it is this. It's a glass pomegranate. So if you said red, if you said round, if you said glass, then I think you were close. And this, I believe, was originally a wine bottle. It was an Armenian pomegranate wine. Yeah, it had in it Armenian pomegranate wine from Armenia. And we still have the bottle. So that was today's remote viewing, and I hope you guys got it. I hope at least you got close. Doesn't smell. She must have washed it. Doesn't smell like wine anymore. But that was today's remote viewing. See, someone saw glass and a black orb, so she was close. I got red. So two of you got somewhat close. Here's your little trivia. They say that Armenia is the first country in the world to produce wine. The oldest winery has been found in Armenia. Glass black orb. All right, that's close too. Someone else said a glass black orb. We have two people saying that. And I guess if it was on my desk, I have it up in the light, it's red, but on my desk it looks a lot darker when I get out of the light, so I could see that someone could say black, or at least dark. Because when I look at it from here down on my desk, it's not in the light and it's really a dark red. So that's awesome. Good for you guys. And all right, so back to my news articles. There was another one that there is a crop formation found in Brazil, a crop circle. think that might be the first time they've ever had a crop circle in Brazil. But let's see, a neighbor, and let me see what it says here. In the morning, no one had a clue until someone alerted. So the person who had the field didn't even know the crop work circle was there until he was drinking coffee in the morning, and I guess someone called him on the phone and said, hey, there's a crop circle in your field. Actually, that's not the first one. There was another one that had been there back in 2015. And maybe one before that in 2008. So there is a lot more paranormal activity going on in Brazil that I wasn't aware of. Let's see. It says something about Brazilian TV. An agricultural expert enlisted by a Brazilian TV station offered a more ambiguous take, noting that something as simple as a stump could be used to create an agroglyph. Is that what they're calling these now? An agroglyph? But also observe that the position and the dimensions are extremely straight lines which leave doubt in the air as to exactly how the formation was formed. So, and I was talking about Armenia was the first place that was the first place to have wine. Also, Armenia, for those of you who don't know, is the first official Christian. The country that said, hey, we're Christians. That's Armenia. I have to talk. No. So, anyways, let's go back. Where was that? Was my second one. Another one I had was there was a survey that explores Americans' belief in aliens and when we're going to have contact. And that was interesting. 1,000 adults were polled in the United States, and 34% believed in ETs, 33% chose for some other option, and 34% had no answer for the ET phenomena. The 34% in favor of alien origins for UFOs. Of that, 20% thought the phenomenon was, I guess, out of the 34% that believed in UFOs, 20% of them thought it was alien in nature. So I guess the other 14 believed it was government or just who knows what they're thinking. It's not alien. I guess it would have some kind of created by someone here on the planet. 7% of the survey participants expressed confidence that we will meet aliens within the next decade. 13% thinks it will occur over the next 50 years. A far greater percentage of people were particularly pessimistic, with 21% saying it will happen within 100 years. And 28% suggesting it could take 2 or more centuries. So there you have it. Out of the 1,000 people in the U.S. that were polled. I have another article, one last article that we didn't get to last week, and this is of someone was driving in California in Sacramento last September the 30th. You can watch that video from this news. Driving, and they're filming UFOs from what I think it is, just probably their phone or their iPhone or whatever they have, but their phone from their car. And it's kind of interesting. And it looks like it's maybe 4 and then it splits into 6 or something. And so we don't know. And the interesting thing to think about is, now with so many alien sightings, also with so many drones out there, it's usually usually an explanation for a lot of UFO sightings. It appears that they'll say it's a drone, and now that I don't know if you've seen it, but they can do amazing things with drones. You know, they have like 200 drones, and they program them all to like put on a show in the sky or something. So I don't know, but you should, if you're interested, check it out. See what those were my 4 articles from last week. Okay, we've got 15 minutes left, so there's just a little bit of time. If you're on the fence about coming and sharing, you have a little bit of time left before you get here, before I go for the evening. And if you have just popped in, I'll repeat this again, that below in the description there is a link to my Discord, which is kind of like Facebook, but kind of not. It's kind of like chat rooms where you can post whatever. You can also audio chat, you can video chat, you can hang out. There's over 400 people. Let me see how many is in there now. 435 plus 13, or 45, or 48, 440, about almost 450 people in there, so it's still growing. What you do is you go to discord.com, you set up a free profile, and then once you've done that, to get into my rooms, you just use that link below, and then that will help you join my servers. And they call them servers, and I don't know why, you know, I call them rooms. I guess you have rooms within your servers. But anyways, if you want to join, that's where that is. Also, if you see down there, there's a link to my Facebook page, which those articles are on the JeffMara Podcast Facebook. So that's how you find those. There's a link to my personal Facebook page. You're welcome to friend me. And my last name is Reynolds. For those of you who don't know, Mara is my wife. So that's JeffMara Podcast. And I see sometimes still on comments on the videos, they'll be like, who's Mara? I thought his name is JeffMara. And usually someone else will say, oh, Mara's his wife. So that's that's the story behind that. And is there any? Then, oh yeah, my NDE clips. And that is another YouTube channel that I started. I'm not keeping up with it as much as I should, but there are probably 10 to 20 videos there of NDEs that are just the NDEs themselves. They don't have the entire video. I just cut that out. So there are some people that only want to invest 5 to 20 minutes and hear the NDE, and that's it. So that's kind of that for you. And I think that's all I have to share. So if you want to ask me questions, I have questions that I can answer questions. I have a little bit of time left. I'm here for you. I'm here for you guys, and I'm here for you guys. You want to share. How did you become interested in all this? From Alan. Gosh, I've been interested in, I've always been interested in sci-fi movies, and that goes back to when I was a kid. And I would say the house that I was raised in was a non-religious house and more of a new age household. So I guess some of that has been, part of my upbringing. And then I got interested in, just the paranormal. Like I said, I think it comes from movies, right? I mean, and originally, if you watch Star Trek, if you watch Star Wars, you're going to be interested in outer space and space travel and stuff like that. And you watch anything to do with, ghosts. And even when I was a teenager, I was into meditation a little bit, and then I knew about astral traveling and it's the same thing, out of body experiences. And then I got more into NDEs about 15 years ago when I discovered Dr. Pim van Lommel. And I've actually had him as a guest, and he's a Dutch cardiologist. And he has had, he's been doing research on NDEs for many, many years. I mean, I think he goes back to the 80s. And he's done quite a bit of academic research, and I learned of him and heard him speak, and I got really interested in that. And one of my favorite NDEs that he spoke about was with a woman named Pam, and she had an aneurysm in her neck, in one of the arteries, maybe the carotid arteries or the vertebral arteries in the back, and they had to repair it. And the only way they could repair it was either that or an aneurysm in her brain. It was somewhere. Anyways, to repair it, they did an experimental surgery, and what they had to do was cool her body down to 50 degrees. That way, when you're cold, you'll have a chance of not having brain damage and staying alive longer. And then they, I think they put her on a table and put her vertical so all the blood would drain out of her brain. And then that's when they did the surgery on her. But the amazing thing was that during the surgery, she popped out of her body and she was watching it, and she saw like they were having complications with the arteries and different things that were happening, and she watched it all. And then at some point, I don't know if she got tired, but eventually she left the surgical scene and went out into the cosmos and was with her uncle, and it was amazing, like most NDEs say it is, and she didn't want to come back. And her uncle was there with her, and he was talking her into coming back. And I think he was even saying, "You've got kids," and she's like, "Oh, they'll be okay, and they'll be all right," And finally, he talked her into coming back. And when she popped back, she was freezing cold because her body had been cooled down 50 degrees. So there's much more to it, but that was one of my favorites from many, many years ago. And one of my other favorites was that, and I spoke with Dr. Pim Van Lommel about that, was that he used to go around giving speeches and talking at places, and he was speaking in front of a large audience. And there was some other cardiologist from the audience that got up and said, "I don't believe in this. None of my patients has ever said this." And then after he said that, someone else in the audience got up, maybe from another side of the room, and said, "It happened to me, and I would never tell you about it." So apparently this woman or man didn't like the doctor. So that's a real interesting story to hear about that. Alan, no, I have not had an OBE that I know of for sure. Maybe I've popped out of my, I felt like I've kind of done some lucid dreaming, perhaps. Maybe within the lucid dreaming, I've maybe astral traveled. I'm not really sure, but it's not like I can confidently say I was out of my body, I was looking down, and I was right there and I could see my body. So I can't really say for sure. I go on the level of no, because I'm not confident about saying that. Thank you very much. And I just popped by and I wanted to say thank you very much to Growth is in the Dirt for that super thanks. I really appreciate that. So thank you again. Hey, I was able to do this chat. I had another question. I was able to do this without clicking it off. Let me see other questions here. Beep. Do I miss doing chiropractic work? Lee, no, I don't. I did it for 20 years. Adjusting spines, I could do it with my eyes closed. Did it day in and day out, sometimes 6 days a week for 20 years. And that's 20 years professionally, not, counting the schoolwork. So, I've heard before that actually you should change professions every 20 years. So how long have I had this podcast? About 2 years. So I've got 18 years left of this, and I've got to find something else to do. All right. So we have someone else popping in before we finish. This is Pierre. My Halloween. Oh, I'm so glad that you brought that up. So in 2 weeks is the Halloween stream. I think it's the 29th or the 30th. I'm not sure which day it is. And I was actually at the Halloween store today looking for a costume. I'll tell you more about it. Pierre, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. How are you today, sir?
Oh, I'm fine. I was surprised that it's the first time I come in, listen to you a lot, Jeff. A lot of your podcasts, as do many, many people, of course.
Thank you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for joining us. Where are you from?
Montreal.
Montreal. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've had another guest from there. Maybe more than that. Or at least I've had a bunch from Toronto.
Uh-huh.
So what do you have to share with us this evening?
Well, I just popped in. I was surprised to come in this quick, and that I thought there would be a bunch of people. I just finished reading a book by Anek Luka. It's called Memoirs of a Child Sex Slave. And she has an incredible near-death experience in the most tragic times of her life.
What is her name?
Anek, Anneke, Luka, Lucas. Memoir of a Child Sex Slave. It happened when she was 6 to 12 years old. She was sold into a elite pedophile network in Belgium.
Right.
Maybe you remember the Dutroux case. Dutroux. Does that ring a bell?
No, but she been on YouTube at all, telling her
Oh, she's been all over. Yeah, you can find her, but
right,
she doesn't
maybe I
talk.
can find
only
her.
in the book. Only in the book I could read her near-death experience. She does yoga, Kriya yoga, and that's how she healed from all the trauma. But then I found she had incredible near-death and shared death experience at the same time in which she met Yogananda. And she became a very devout follower of Yogananda. And she's quite an amazing person. Peter, I was shared with her, with Peter Panagori about her. He was amazed about her story. He didn't really read the whole thing, but
Peter's been a guest a couple times.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's like
he's
like the theologian of the NDEs.
Right. I saw today, because we're friends on Facebook, he was flying out to Los Angeles to meet with somebody about, I don't know if they're making a movie of his life or what, but something
He's
about
involved in some movie project.
Yeah. So that'll be fascinating for him.
Yeah.
And I hope it comes to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
So have you had any experiences yourself?
Well, I've had spiritually transformative experiences. I do sense the spirit side, even though I haven't had NDE. When I listen to NDEs, I feel like I really feel the reality of it. And I think it's, I was talking to a nun of all people who is a sexologist, a nun that's a sexologist, go figure. She helps with nuns that have been abused, sexually abused, and there's a lot of that. And she was so discouraged by what's happening, but I was telling her that there's a whole new awakening going on through near-death experiences, and post-materialist scientists like Dr. Mario Beauregard. I think you know about him. No, drmariobeauregard.com. He has a near-death experience. If you're able to get him on, that would be great. He has near-death experiences.
You said Emilio Beauregard?
Mario, as in Luigi and Mario. Mario Beauregard. If you go on his website, drmariobeauregard.com, you can try to contact him through that.
Okay, got him.
Yeah.
All right, so we got some potential 2 new guests.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if you get those 2 on, I'll be very happy to see that.
So you said you had a spiritually transformative experience, right?
Well, yeah, well, more like, I guess, Holy Spirit kind of thing, where I just was crying for no reason, even though I'm happy, and I don't understand what's going on. And later on, that led to other developments in my life. And like I've been with Reverend Moon's organization since 1978. You heard about him, maybe. And I know a few people in that organization have NDEs. And I'm always interested. Anyone who has an NDE, I always want to know. Tell me what happened. I become JeffMara, I guess. Yeah. So this is quite a phenomenon. The near-death experience is just blowing out of the sky, and people are not afraid to talk about it.
Yeah, it's becoming so popular now. I mean, very popular. I mean, maybe because of COVID, or maybe because it's just the timing. People want to know more about the afterlife. Yeah, it seemed like I mean, this is kind of a little bit different, but the New Age world was really popular in the mid to late 80s and 90s, and kind of like the late 90s, it kind of went downhill. Like it kind of disappeared in the late 90s. I remember in the late 90s, probably, the late 90s to very early 2000s, they used to have like metaphysical bookstores, and I don't, they were closing shop, and I thought people lost interest, but now it's 20 years later, and the interest has returned.
Well, now science is involved.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Good point.
Like Ibn Alexander, he's a scientist.
Right.
Have you heard of GalileoCommission.org?
I have not.
Well, GalileoCommission.org is where those kind of scientists gather that look and peer into the invisible side of life. And it's the frontier science or emerging science. So there's a new scientific paradigm that's coming up. And because now the developments of science, such medically, for example, so many people are having near-death experiences because of the development of medical science and neuroscience, the study of the brain, neuroimaging of the brain, and all this. So now those people who are materialists, materialistic science, cannot explain too many things. They cannot explain. So gradually, the old paradigm is going to lose its hold. Because right now, the materialistic paradigm is dominating the financing of studies in universities, which studies gets financing. It's all connected to materialistic medicine, pharmaceutical dominates, because universities need for a lot of financing, and but it's changing, and I think that's probably why people are less afraid to speak out, because there's more and more solid people in the scientific world recognizing the reality of these experiences.
I don't know if how many of you guys are on Facebook, and I've had the owner of the group, the NDE group on Facebook, Ned Madania, and his Facebook group has 100,000 people in it.
Wow.
So that's amazing. I mean, that's a lot of people. So, I mean, it's a tremendous amount of people.
And NDE experiences are going into territory where it wasn't so present. I think you had someone from Israel recently.
Yes.
One or two, maybe. There was one who,
one was
amazing girl, amazing person who was in an earthquake in China. Yes. Oh, wow, what a story.
Yeah.
And another one, a lawyer, I think. She's involved.
Yes, exactly.
Tall lady.
Yes, a lawyer. And then I had another one. It wasn't an NDE, but we had a great discussion on the Kabbalah and reincarnation. I don't know if you saw that one.
Not sure.
Yeah, she's a rabbi's wife. I'm not sure I can't remember how you pronounce that word. Rabbi Nitz, Rabbi Een, something like that. But she's a rabbi's wife. And we talked about the Kabbalah and even in the Kabbalah, I think it was in the Torah, and then there was another book maybe of the Kabbalah that she said NDEs are there. And then also one of the actual books of the Kabbalah is called Reincarnation. So I think I think there's a lot of, and I really enjoyed us let me say this. I recently had a guest on that we were talking about sleep paralysis, but she is studied the Bible on an academic level and got a major in Bible in college at the university. And she had some amazing information, and I don't know if she got it from someone else, but they're basically saying the Bible is a spectacular book of metaphysics, if not the most, most amazing metaphysical book. And there's a lot there in that book if you know what you're looking for.
Yeah, if you're looking at it,
but it was amazing speaking with her.
Lens. Mm-hmm. And you had someone from Africa, remember?
Mm-hmm. I've had a couple of them from Africa.
A couple of them from Africa. They're also breaking the ice. It's like in many places, it's taboo. You can't speak about those experiences. And gradually, the taboos are going away. And I think that's fantastic. And the Muslim countries, have you had Muslim? I think you have.
I have not. I haven't. I wish I had. I'm trying to get. I haven't had any Muslim NDEs. But
I know of some, but they speak French from Morocco.
Oh, it would be great if we could, have a translator. I had one man on, which I really enjoyed this one. We were talking about that Prophet Muhammad's ascension into heaven he thought that was an OBE, something that literally happened, or he literally, had an out-of-body experience and then went to heaven. And we had a whole podcast on that. So I would like to get other religions, NDEs, and spiritual takes on it. And even the NDE that we had the other night with Alex was pretty interesting, giving us, I don't know if you saw that one where talking about the 4 things that you see in death with Buddhism, going to Bardo. Step 1 is I can't remember, one of them was you go to a desert and see a mirage, and then the third thing is you have fireflies flying at you. I think step 1 is you're in the clouds, then step 2 is you wind up in the desert, step 3 is you're with energy, or what they say, fireflies sparkling, and then step 4 you finally end up in the light. Did you see that one?
I think I saw it, but I didn't really have time to listen. I remember seeing what the description you're talking about. I think I read the description.
Right. And so she even met with, I guess, the Dalai Lama's second-hand man. I think it's pronounced the Penchant Lama or something. And so it's pretty amazing. If you're interested in Buddhism, I would highly recommend you go check it out.
Yeah, well, yes, I probably will.
Yeah. All right, sir. Well,
so I hope you can get Anna Kluka on. That would be fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. See what we can do.
She speaks English. She's from Belgium, but she's been living in New York for a long time, and so she speaks very good English. Yeah.
Hopefully, she'll be willing. You just never know.
Mario Beauregard also speaks good English.
I just never know.
With a French Canadian accent, of course.
Oh, and I was, it's so funny you said that, because I was thinking, how come I don't hear any French Canadian accent from you?
That's a good question. I've lived in the U.S. and we've all throughout Canada, and I do interpretation a lot. And I speak for English at home, even though I should have speaking more French so that my son would be bilingual. But anyway, that's what it is. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much of an accent. Well, thanks for telling me that.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but
I don't know either.
Honestly, that thought was through my mind when you were speaking. I thought about asking you, and I just let it go. But now that you brought it up, that's why I asked.
I was raised up in French, went to school in French and everything. But since I'm adult, though, I've lived mostly in English. Yeah. Since after I graduated from university in 1978, a few years ago.
So you can still speak French fluently, right?
Oh yeah, I can speak to you right now.
All right. So whenever if I ever have a guest with a French, and I need a French translator, maybe I can call on you.
I'm okay with that.
Call on you. I don't know if you saw.
That would be fun.
I recently had one with a man from Spain, and we had a translator. Did you see that one?
I don't remember. I saw in a Spanish description of a video, but I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't listen to it.
The way we did the video, and this might be interesting for people, is I would ask, I first, introduce the guest, and then, and then the guest would say like 2 or 3 sentences of his NDE, and then the translator would translate it, and then the guest would say, 3 or 4 more sentences, and then the translator would translate it. And so when I finally edited the video, it would have been way too long, I thought, because it was about an hour and a half recording of me. And then when I ask questions, I ask, then it goes to the translator, from the translator to the guest back to the translator. It just, the information seemed to flow too slow. So I edited it in two separate videos. I just, for the one that was completely in Spanish, it's just the translator and him talking back and forth, and all the English is gone. And then I made one of in the English version. It's just like as if it's me and the translator talking, and the experiencer is sitting there. But that way the information would flow faster, because again, I think that it would have been too slow, and it would have been boring for people to wait for that translation back and forth.
So the way I do interpretation is Zoom has the interpretation capability where I get put into a interpretation booth, and I talk simultaneously. And for people to hear the interpretation, they have to click and choose interpretation. So you could have a recording, someone recording the interpretation track, and another one recording the original language track. And you'd have the 2 languages that way.
Yeah, well,
because it's simultaneous that way,
Right.
Otherwise, one after the other. I never do that. I find it very difficult. You have to remember and then say. Whereas simultaneously, that's what I'm used to.
Okay. Well, if time comes, we'll figure it out.
We'll see.
Yeah, how it goes.
Okay.
Well, Pierre, thank you so much for joining us.
Okay.
I appreciate you. I'm going to run, and have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good night.
Right. Cheers. All right. Karen keeps asking a question, so let's get to that question before we go. How many hours a day do I dedicate to the podcast? Well, let's see. Recording a podcast probably takes, on the average, an hour and a half. I'm guessing, because I'll meet with the guests, and then we'll hang out and chit chat for a while. Then we'll record the podcast, which is usually at least an hour. Sometimes they're shorter, and sometimes they go over. And then after the podcast, we hang out for a while and talk. So that's about a couple hours. And then I'll do some of the editing, as well as Mara does some of the editing. So I'll probably put in an hour of the editing, and then that's me personally. And then she'll do some more, and then she does the editing as well. And then I spend time either answering emails, because people email me and or ask me questions, or and then we've got to upload it, and then we've got to edit. Not only that, you got to edit the video, the little thumbnail picture, we've got to edit that. And then I spend time throughout the day talking to guests, scheduling potential guests, talking to different people. And that will, it's a thing. It's like a lifestyle in a way, because I don't really work 8 hours straight. Generally I'll record a guest early in the morning, like and it depends if they're in another country. It even gets a little bit different. Like yesterday, when I was doing the recording with Paraquah, she was in Moscow, and so I had to. It was like 9 a.m. my time, and I don't remember what it was her time, 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So when I do videos, when I record with people from Australia, I usually have to record in the night, and it's the next day in the morning for them. But so I'll do this, like I said, I'll work a little while, and then on the recording, and then later in the day I would do some editing, and in and out of the day, like during in and out of the day at just different points. It's kind of like I'm on and off chatting with people and answering emails. I don't know if that's actually. If that's what I do. Anything else? Yeah, I gotta pictures. I've got to work on the title. I've got to work on writing the description for the video. I also do upload some other stuff. We have like an audio podcast that's like on Google Podcasts. I understand it's kind of an all day thing. Yes, it's kind of an all day. Like I said, it's a lifestyle. But it's interesting because then in these times between the editing and the actual recording, that's like when we'll go to the grocery store and do shopping or take care of the kids. Sometimes I gotta take kids either to school or pick them up after school, and so there's different things. A lot of times on Saturdays I'll do even a record one, like today. I just didn't have one this morning, but a lot of times on Saturdays in the morning I'll record a podcast, and then I come tonight, and during the day we'll do stuff. Like luckily this one won't have this podcast doesn't need to be edited, so we don't have to edit that today. Except the thumbnail. That's actually what I do. After this is over, I download the video from YouTube, and then I get me and a guest or whatever, and then I sit there and kind of put us together in the picture, and put live open Zoom at the top. Both two questions. Did you get in NDEs? I was kind of saying that earlier, and that was when I heard Dr. Pim Van Lommel's. I think that was probably the first time I may have heard about it. I'm not sure, but that's kind of where I really got interested, and that was probably 15 years ago, I'm guessing. I remember I used to talk about that in my office when I had an office. Let's see, and she's got a second question. I'd have you podcast guest and added to my life. That's a long answer. I need to write all this down. And one of my guests, she told me that, and I think it was a channeler, and she said that she was channeling while we were talking, and that might have been, I think that was either before or after. I think it was after, and that she was telling me the channel said you need to write this stuff down because I have so many ideas talking to so many guests, and I want to just kind of sort it all out for myself. And for those of you that watch every day, I'm sure you know that there's so many different, variations of NDEs that it's hard to put them in like categorization and how to really just classify them and make them nice and orderly. So I need to kind of sit down and write all this. Yeah, that's true. So really the best thing about doing this podcast is that it helps so many people, which I never expected. Wife said after her own father died, it helped. And starting after her father had passed away, and it helped her. But also, yeah, it helped. My wife said it helped her from depression, just being with about NDEs. And so many people actually write to me and tell me that, how they help them. And if you see in the comments, it helps them. But that's something that I never would have expected that to be a byproduct of. So I think it's really awesome to do something that I love and it's helping people. So, and as I keep saying over and over, in a way, this podcast is my own personal spiritual journey because, I learned so much being with these guests. I mean, where are we at? 600 and something. So, I mean, if you can, and a lot of you've watched almost every one, at least almost every one since it became paranormal, not the really old stuff. And I would assume that you have probably, it's become your spiritual journey as well. So it's kind of like, in a way, we're all in this together if you're watching every day. So anyways, I got to get back to the Halloween store. I went to the Halloween store. We have this store called Spirit. I went there today, and there was too much stuff to choose for a costume. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I decided, okay, I'm going to have to come back with my wife, and she can help me pick, because it was just too many choices. And I won't wear the devil mask this time. And it's funny, I saw that there again. Because last time I wore the devil mask, and enough people didn't like it. I guess it was too spooky. But I just chose it because the mask went from here up and like horns, and that left my mouth open so I could talk. And so I got to get a new costume for this year. And I'll probably be going soon. So in 2 weeks, what is that? That is... Saturday the 29th. It's costume optional. So I'm going to be wearing a costume. If you want to wear a costume, you're welcome to do so. And even if you don't want to, this is the problem. I just realized if I touch the chat over here, then you lose me. So I got to actually look at the chat on my other computer. That's what's going on if you don't understand what that is. Because if I'm clicking from one window to the other one, it disappears. So if you want to wear a Halloween costume, that would be great. And you don't even have to give an experience. You can just come in and say, hey, I'm a cowboy, or whatever, whatever you want to be. And we got to make it a Halloween night. And that's with that, Saturday the 29th. And we could be a ghost story night if anybody wants to tell ghost stories. If you want to make it Halloween theme, it doesn't have to be. Anybody can come and say whatever. But if you want to, it could be a ghost story night if you want to do that. Or if you have a ghost story, then maybe that's a good time to come and share that. So that's coming up. I don't know if there's anything specific we could do for Thanksgiving, except unless you want to say what you're thankful for. Is Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is on the 24th this year, so Saturday the 26th could be some type of Thanksgiving podcast. And last year, since we're getting closer, I tried this on last year. A New Year's Eve. Wow, New Year's Eve this year is on the podcast, so we can do a New Year's Eve podcast. That would be pretty cool. And I'll still finish in time to celebrate New Year's Eve. But last year we tried, and I only had a couple people give me their New Year's prediction. So I need to go back and watch that so we can see if any of the predictions came true. And hopefully you guys will come in and share your New Year's prediction for 2023. And then Christmas Eve is also on that night, on a Saturday night. I don't know if I'll do a podcast Christmas Eve or not. It would probably be pretty cool, but we'll see. We're gonna, that's something that's also up in the air. So that's something we can possibly talk about when we get closer to that. And we had a great night tonight. I mean, we had a lot of viewers. It was over 300, so that's awesome. A lot of you guys are still here, and that's amazing. And I am thankful for you guys and appreciate you guys, and especially appreciate that you guys come and watch every single day. So we're thankful about that. Oh, let me see. We've been thinking about merch because people ask me, when am I going to make merch? And we've even kind of looked into it. I'm not sure. And one of the ideas we have is, since you guys watch while going to bed at night, we thought about making JeffMara Podcast pajamas. So that's one idea we've tossed around. We've tossed around like a coffee mug. So also, if you're just in bed and you're drinking, well, you're not going to drink coffee at night, but if you're drinking chamomile tea or some tea, you may make a coffee mug. And maybe you can say, if you're interested in that, maybe you can let us know. Those are the two ideas, and maybe a t-shirt or something. But those are 3 initial ideas. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny that you said that, because I thought about that. All the different artwork you could do. I wasn't really sure what kind of artwork would I put that demonstrates an NDE. And what I have to figure that out. Maybe a tunnel or something. And then I thought about, like different aliens or something on a cup or something like that. She'd buy. Yeah, see, there's a shirt. Hi from Sweden. Hello, country-sided. So sleep masks. It's so funny. We talked about that too. Sleep masks, and that's something that's kind of more difficult to get done. But that is another idea. But we would really need PJs. Chai latte shirt. Angels. Okay, Diana says angels. That's a good idea too. Is artwork is also the artwork for an NDE. Angels, stars, tunnel, light, clouds. Where was that? Mix. I don't know. She said MX big. Someone, I can't find it here, but saying that I don't. MX big. Seeing that. It's okay. It's okay. A tote bag for chopping. I paint clouds, NDE clouds. Okay, there we go. See some NDE clouds. So it sounds like a lot of people are also into aliens. So yeah, maybe some kind of alien logo. It's just something we've got to think about. Yeah, the PJs is definitely because everybody, so many people say they watch it late at night. Why not? Caught on my wire here. How about one saying, where were we? It's big. Where were we? Sleep tea. How about it just visiting? Oh, I like that. That's a great idea. Just visiting this planet. It's a good one. Just visiting. It's got to be positive though, right? Because it makes me also think that someone, I'm not saying that's not positive, but also some people will say, I'm not coming back next time. I'm going somewhere else. Alien necklaces. That's an idea. So it seems like a lot of you guys like aliens. And I'm surprised. I wasn't expecting that. Glow in the dark. That's another idea. So anyways, I'm glad to know that that's what you guys like. I should probably, maybe I'll, in the community, like when I posted today, I posted to say, hey, we're going to do the live stream tonight. I can post a poll there. Maybe I should do that next, is put a poll and you guys can all vote, and I can say, do you want t-shirt, pajamas, mug, maybe those 3 things, and then all of the above, and then that can kind of help us kind of get an idea of where we want to go with this. Just visiting with JeffMara. That's a good one. Pajama. And so there's companies that you can help you with your merch. You know what I mean? They have a lot of products and you put your logo on. And the current ones that I've seen now, I guess every now and then they keep changing their products, which is a good thing. And so it appears that their pajamas right now kind of look holiday-ish. They have like green and white stripes on the pants or red and white stripes. It looks kind of Christmassy. So I was trying to think, how can the, you know, put the logo and also kind of make it look Christmassy. So Mary Ananda said religion. I like that. That is great. Yeah. It's a good one, Mary. T-shirts, black t-shirt though with clouds. That's a possibility, yeah. I paint angels, you can help out. Cool, thank you. 20-ounce size is good for a coffee cup. That's a big cup. Someone said if we do a coffee cup, do 20-ounce mugs. And Karen said she also paints clouds. Cool. All right. Thank you for that. I've seen it. Love the Supreme. No bedtime stories with NDE bedtime stories with Jeff. It's a good one. I don't like. See, someone else says I don't like the idea of alien merch. So I don't know. Maybe I have to make multiple. You can have the alien merch or the NDE merch. Or, you know, or whatever else we come with. But that's another thing we think about. But you know, and that goes back to time. How many hours a day we work. And so that was something that we spent time on that day, just doing all the research. And we couldn't come up with, you know, we didn't, you know, yeah, let's do it. We got the idea. It was just kind of like a preliminary thinking about it and researching. Yeah, we need to execute. We got the idea. We're getting there. You guys have helped us. Thank you. So now we just kind of finish the idea and put it out there. And one. $39,547. So that's awesome. We're almost to 50,000. So that's really cool. We're almost there. So that's a great milestone, 50,000. And then we can look forward to 100,000. And that's when I can get my little plaque that says I got 100,000 subscribers. My silver YouTube button. So that's what I'm looking forward to. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you. We love you and we wish you the best. And we'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your weekend and a great week. And take